Welcome back to the 1313 podcast, the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Tommy.
Welcome back to all you Regs and to all you Shinies. Welcome to the podcast. This is the podcast. Please, before we begin, make sure that you're following us on all of our social media, that being Instagram, X, Twitch, and TikTok. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit that bell icon to let us know that you can know that when we upload. And hit that join button if you want to support us and join level 1313. You get nice icons next to your name and access to an exclusive set of emojis to use in our comment section and our live streams. Also, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the podcast, you can support us on Patreon. Every month we do a giveaway on Patreon. Do we know what we're giving away yet for next month? No. We just did 13 Days of Christmas and we just did all that. So if you want to check out the winners from that, make sure you check our Instagram from all those posts throughout the month. But we're going to be giving away something February 1st. We just got to figure out what it is. So if you want to figure out what you can win, make sure that you support us on Patreon and stay tuned to the Instagram and the Discord, which is also linked down below. Fellas, how was everybody's week?
Hey, I'd say the week was good. If you all saw, I actually put out a vlog because I was in the Niagara Falls area and Tommy and Jacob unfortunately reminded me, and I didn't see it that in the guag, I was looking at one of the GameStops and they had the new Mandalorian action figure. The first one.
It's like the first thing I saw.
I didn't realize it and I'm actually upset because I really wanted that figure
Major Jackson mythosaur moment.
Yes.
What is he looking at in the water?
But other than that, me and Commander Bly, mostly Commander Bly, are very hard at work on my armor right now. The goal is to get it done by the 27th. Our local hockey team is having a Star Wars night, and I would very much like that to be the debut of Fives in my costume. So really working hard right now. Also want to give a huge shout out to Kylo's Creations. Thank you so much for coming in clutch for me at the last minute to help me on a backup pair of blasters, just because I might have lost mine in the move. I don't know where they are, and I've looked far and wide for them, so I just had them whip me up another set.
Did you check your
pockets? I tried.
Oh, okay.
They're not in my pockets. But thank you so much, dude. You're the best. Appreciate you. How about y'all?
For my week, I worked, and And for a couple weeks now, I've been back in the swing of things in the gym, so that's been fun. And busted out a little review. So if you want to go check that out,
bust down on the Mando review.
You know,
I watched that review all the way through, all 17 minutes of it, because that's a figure I'm really interested in.
The Mando one he did, I do want to watch.
It was one of those like I do like 30 minutes of footage for my reviews, and it ended up just being like 17 minutes I could use.
That's crazy, though.
There's a lot of new, because it's new head to toe.
Okay.
Amazing action.
Does the helmet come off?
No.
I'm not mad about that.
Well, he doesn't take the helmet off in the show.
I get it. And the Pedro head that they did to begin with is really bad, so I'm not upset.
Yeah, aside from that, I did just want to say real quick, shout out to everyone who is maybe new watching, because last week's podcast episode did numbers. It did like by far like the most views we've ever gotten on a podcast episode on YouTube. Dude. It has almost 500 views on YouTube right now for absolutely no reason.
I need the max win.
Definitely because of the max win bit at the beginning.
Max win.
I don't know. Maybe we hit a target audience somewhere.
Yeah, so
Jacob's pulling up the statistics because he doesn't believe that we produced a good
480.
episode.
Yeah, how about them apples? So yeah, I just want to say shout out to everybody that checked out that video, and if you're watching us again, thank you. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. If you're new here, hi, I also do this show.
This is Jacob's monthly cameo.
I know. This
1313.
Monthly cameo to the show.
Yes, so last week I was absent because I was doing something extremely important. As some of you may have known, it is the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. And my girlfriend has never seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies, but she loves Star Wars, she loves Harry Potter, she loves fantasy stuff, so I knew she was going to love these movies. We just haven't had the time to get around to see them. And then they did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all in a row. They did Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King, extended editions for each film. So 2 of them were like 4 hours long, and then Return of the King was like 5 hours long. But we went every single day to the movie theater to watch all of them, and it was absolutely amazing. I know they're doing it again this week, so as of this is coming out, Return of the King is in the theater. If you have a Cinemark in your area, check it out. I don't know if they're doing it again next week, but seeing those movies for the first time on the big screen, I haven't seen those movies since I was in middle school. So it was like kind of watching them with fresh eyes. It was so cool. So I highly recommend doing it if you have the opportunity to. And yeah, super, super cool. Other than that, I got hired as a lab aide at my college to do film stuff. So I'll be working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, doing just miscellaneous lab tech stuff, filming things, whatever needs to be done. But that also means I get free reign access to all the equipment whenever I want. So I don't need somebody to hold my hand to get stuff out. I can do all of that on my own now. So now that's I'm really excited about all that. I tried to get hired last semester and then it didn't work out with my schedule, but now we're good. So
Sweet.
yeah. Other than that, nothing.
Don't forget to show off the new T-shirt your brother got you for Christmas.
This came in finally. It was a late Christmas gift.
Is that from Night Squadron?
Night Squadron stuff.
From Night Squadrons.
It's I'm pretty sure it's just a Gildan fitted black T-shirt that he cut the tag off of, and then he slapped a medium sticker on it. But it's like embroidered. So it's really nice.
I got Hunter, 212th Hunter, the Commander Cody hoodie.
Oh,
Nice.
Where it's got the Cody helmets on the front,
dude,
little, and
that
then
is
big
so
down the back.
heat, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to come in like any day now. But
Those are, so what I didn't know when
Is
I
that for his
purchased.
birthday? Does he know about
no,
that?
I got it as a Christmas gift.
Oh, does he know about
And
it?
then it did. Yeah, I told him.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
spoiled it like a week ago.
Gotcha.
Because it took like a month and a half to ship. So I
Yeah,
was
because
mad.
he does everything as pre-orders. And I didn't know, too, that he's based in Mexico. So
What? I
Did
didn't know
yours
that
ship
either.
from Mexico?
I don't know.
Oh, so that's where mine shipped from because it had to go through customs and whatnot. That's why it took a little bit longer.
Oh.
So that would explain it too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
I
didn't know
mean,
that.
he's got really cool work on Instagram. Check him out if you're interested in like simplistic like tattoo / art ideas. He does limited waves of shirts all the time.
He has a couple that he keeps in stock though, like a Captain Rex design.
yeah.
And he has he had wolf designs.
Those are gone for right now.
Yeah, he just check out his stuff, and then if you want to get a tattoo, make sure that he has a tattoo pass on his page.
Yeah.
Make sure that you Jackson doesn't believe in it, but make sure that you if you do want to get any of his artwork as a tattoo, it's very respectful to an artist. Just toss the $20 their way for it to use. They have the rights to use their artwork.
Nah, if I saw it, I didn't.
Jackson with tattoos is like AI in work. He's like, this is mine now.
Not really. He had Fives designs a while ago that I missed out on. So
Oh, really?
R.I.P.
Loser.
Well, at least you hit up that Heroes and Villains 5s collection, right?
Yeah.
He got that for Christmas.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
Very cool.
Very dopest monster, if I do say so myself. You know what else is pretty dopest monster?
What is Dopest
Content.
Monster, Tom?
The Lucasfilm announcement today.
Yes, we were freaking out about that at work. So I opened Instagram and saw it, and I was in the middle of screenshotting it and putting it in the Discord when Jacob called me. He was like, Jackson, did you see? They're doing the movie. And I was like frantically looking through because I was like, okay, this is going to be the topic for today. And I was reading over the article, and it only made me more happy to see at the very end that they confirmed Ahsoka 2 is in development.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Season 2
very-
Ahsoka. Woo!
I love how at the end of the article they just slipped that in. They're like,
yeah.
and Dave Filoni's working on Ahsoka season 2. Mm-hmm. May the Force. This is the way.
Yeah. Well, what caught me off guard too is because people started posting about that, like Ahsoka season 2, and people were like, "Source? Where'd you find that?"
Yeah, well, that's how I was, and then I read the full art, which it wasn't really a full article. It was like 2 paragraphs.
Oh, exactly.
But yeah, from StarWars.com. And yeah, Ahsoka season 2 is officially happening, which is funny because just a few days ago, Rosario Dawson was on a podcast. The name of the podcast escapes me. It was a Star Wars podcast. And she was asked if that's in the making, and she was like, no, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't heard anything yet. Like, I was really jealous to see, like, all the rest of the cast going to cons together. Like, I wasn't able to go, but, like, I don't know, there's a big dinner we're having soon. So, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that was maybe, like, gonna be Dave's, like, official announcement to them. And then StarWars.com was like, and Ahsoka season 2 is coming.
It wouldn't surprise me if the actors actually didn't know, and then
Yeah.
that was, like, the thing.
That is what we know from Star Wars so far.
But the fact that, so in the article they mentioned that this film goes into production this year.
Yeah.
Which means it's already been
That means it's written, but they also said that it was going to be filming. So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are directing it.
Yes.
But they also said that they were doing it in tandem of filming Ahsoka season 2. So they're filming both of them at the same time.
which is crazy, which I'm also maybe believing that this movie is going to lead us into that season of Ahsoka and start to connect all of these shows that we're watching now at once. Because I feel like Mando and Boba are at least all tied together, but they're not also connected to what Ahsoka's doing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My big thing is that this is one of those moments with the franchise where I feel like they're really listening to what people have to say. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it makes me happy that, especially considering Disney has lost significant amounts of, like, oodles and oodles of money with their latest movies, that they're allowing for this movie to be made. And they're, because they've already said, Disney has already said, we're cutting back on Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah.
So I'm happy, and I've seen some people that aren't too happy about, like, they'd rather have it continue to be a series because it's more like minutes of content. But for me, I know Jackson and I talked about it last week. We were like, well, I don't really know where Mando and Grogu's story could go from here. I think they've tied a bow on it very nicely at the end of season 3. So, you know, I think a movie is much better.
Also, a reason why people disliked Mando season 3 so much is because it really fell under the umbrella of things getting drawn out and things that people were like, this is all filler, because it's just the story's getting stretched thin.
The filler argument.
So now that it's a film, it's going to condense everything into the most important beats. You're not going to have to worry about that dumb argument anymore. Mm-hmm. Plus, I'm excited just to get Star Wars back in the cinema.
Yes, dude.
I'm really excited for.
So now we have the Rey movie and we have Mando. Both shooting this year is going to be crazy. So I would feel like in 2025 we'll see Star Wars finally back in the movie theater then.
And that makes me excited.
I would say it's 25.
Say 26, end of 25.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense though, because Lucasfilm never posts about the internship. It makes a lot of sense as to why they made a big thing about join the Lucasfilm team for people that because they're like, okay, we need a lot of hands to do this. And Lucasfilm is taking away our money. So we'll get the cheapest labor possible.
College kids.
To make this movie. That's probably what they're doing. That's probably why. So please, Lucasfilm, please accept my application. Because think of it. If you're working at Lucasfilm and the only things that Lucasfilm has going on is the Mando movie, Ahsoka, Andor, I'm like, that job's got to fall into one of those. Like, it's gotta.
Yeah. You can mop the floors of Rosario Dawson's trailer.
That would be
That's your internship.
I'll mop it with my tongue.
Bro.
No, I mean, it's awesome that and again, it was the last couple weeks we've kind of brought up the rumor mill, you know, talking about this, and we didn't really know if it was legit or not. It's cool now to know that they're doing a Mando movie. We've talked about last few weeks, that the Mando movie is the smartest decision money-wise that Lucasfilm and Disney could make right now. On top of just the story, you know, about it, the financial gain that they can make from this is great, because everyone has Grogu shirt. Everyone has Grogu hat.
We do. We have Grogu hoodie.
We have Grogu hoodie with Grogu and cup, Grogu cookie, Grogu. My sister got me Grogu milkshake mix for Christmas.
That's a thing?
With glass Grogu cup.
Okay,
Everything is Grogu. You have everyone and their mom knows who Baby Yoda is. So when you show a movie trailer everywhere on Earth, on the internet, on TV, and grandma sees Frog Baby Grongle on TV and goes in the movie theaters this December, she's gonna go see the movie and take her grandkids. It's gonna have this huge umbrella of an audience, so much more than just the focused Star Wars audience.
And another nice thing about it is this is gonna be the first time in a long time we're probably gonna get like figures for we're gonna get a movie figure release where everything we get a really good wave of stuff that comes out before the movie to build hype. Oh, that'd be cool.
See, what I'm thankful for too at this point now is that we've kind of consistently talked about when Star Wars does something new for like products and whatnot as well, everything has to be the OT first before they. Oh well, yeah, there is a hair on me. Thank you.
Whose is it?
That was definitely my hair, to be honest with you.
It's probably Jackson hair.
But we finally set into a place where not every new product release line has to be the OT. Now it can be the Mandalorian because that's as iconic as the OT right now
Right.
because of its relevance. So it only does the movie better because of that status as well. Like what Tommy was saying, everything is Grogu. And for everyone who is a hardcore Star Wars fan like us, you loved Din Djarin. So it's only better.
You get the best of you can pull from every audience. You get the casual audience. You get the people who, like we've talked about, just want to go buy popcorn and watch cool explosions with cute baby Grongol on the TV.
Yeah.
You have like the neckbeards who are like, I like Mandalorians, that they can watch the movie too. Everyone can sit down and watch this fun film.
Yes.
And for me personally, it could go either way. I feel like it could be super inconsequential to the overall story of this era, or it could be a huge stepping stone, that progresses what we already have.
So, talking about the story, where do you think this is really going to lead? Do you think this is going to... Because they said Ahsoka Season 2 is being produced at the exact same time. So, do you think this story is going to have a heavy set idea on what is happening with Thrawn and the overarching view of the galaxy and, like, what's happening with the Ahsoka series? Are we going to see, like, New Republic stuff and we're going to start to see everybody, like, gear up because Thrawn's back? Do you think we're going to see some of Ahsoka in this? Or do you think we're going to, like... just scoot Ahsoka and all the story that we got in that series aside and keep it only in the show? What do you guys think?
Jackson, you want to go first?
I feel like with the ending of Ahsoka, the setup was the Empire is back and Thrawn is back. So if that is the main conflict point, and you don't want to resolve all of the main conflict point in the movie because you're going to have a TV show based on more of that, I feel like what could Thrawn do that could take up the spot of a movie? And I'm still almost leaning towards maybe Captain Pelion or one of Thrawn's grunts or somebody who's in the Shadow Council, like doing something with the Empire that will later see developed and resolved in Ahsoka. If I had to make a guess, I would say maybe at the end of this, the New Republic would be like, oh shoot, maybe we need to actually do something and stop pretending that we don't have Imperial sympathizers in this council and such. But that's honestly where I think it could... That's my prediction, at least, of where I think the movie would go.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I think it's going to be very big for progressing the threat of Thrawn.
Yeah.
Because... First of all, at the end of Mando Season 3, you have that scene with Carson Teva and Mando where he tells him, hey, if you ever need a hired gun, I'm in. And you need, if you ever have a threat or an Imperial threat specifically, I'm in. And because Carson Teva, his hands are tied because there are Imperial sympathizers all throughout the higher-ups of the New Republic because they took all the leadership of the Empire and they were like, yeah, here's a job, here's a job, here's a job. And you have entire sects of the government that are nothing but ex-Imperial. And not all of them are still for the Empire, but most of them are.
Yeah.
And we've seen it time and time again with the different series. I think that for our new audience that came into Star Wars with Mando, they need to have an understanding of why Thrawn is such a threat to the galaxy. And we saw that a little bit in Ahsoka, but again, I think for people who just watch The Mandalorian and that's it, who go and sit down for this movie, I think this is a really good way to start to really build up how much of a threat Thrawn actually is.
Yeah.
They did that in Rebels. It took time over 2 seasons. You get to see all different ways that Thrawn plays the long game. Just because we're doing a movie, you could have Thrawn as the villain, realistically, and be like the Thanos, where he doesn't show up until towards the end. But he is pulling the strings, and you see that he's actually a menace. Like, he's actually a big deal,
I think one of the best ways to introduce, because lots of the people that are going to see this movie, there's going to be a lot of people that didn't watch the Ahsoka series.
Yes.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people that didn't watch Rebels.
Yeah.
So when you think of how's the best way to introduce this character and let everybody know that this is the big bad guy that's here to stay, I think the best way to do that is kill somebody that everybody loves. So if you're going to go that route, who do you think Thrawn would kill to get across to the audience of how big and bad this guy is? And you think they would kill Hera?
Realistically, they wouldn't, just because of how important Hera is. But I mean, like a Hera level status in my opinion.
I feel like somebody would, like, for mass audiences, to
Bo-Katan.
truly understand how bad this guy is, who would he kill? And I don't think it would be Bo-Katan. I don't know who it would be. Grogu.
No. If they killed him in the movie,
This
people
just
would
in.
go,
Spoilers, guys. Thrawn eats Grogu in the new Mandalorian movie.
Here's a clip.
Here's a clip.
see, when I keep thinking about it, especially with Jacob's point, when I think of the Mandalorian movie, I don't think Mandalorians. Because I almost feel like we're not really going to touch on like a whole lot of what like Bo-Katan is doing in the other.
The whole point of season 3 was to conclude
I
that
agree. Yes.
part of Mando's story.
You had the closing circle at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
That story is over. So,
So I feel like the Mandalorians will do their own thing,
Yeah.
and we won't really see them much in the movie. We'll probably see a few, but
I wonder if this...
Boba.
Well, I think he's got to come back. I wonder if this film is going to start to introduce
Kill Boba.
the no, I don't.
Be awful.
Well, because I don't think that would happen. It would just be a waste of a poker chip because you have this character that had one series that people didn't like, and then the next time you show him, you're just gonna kill him. I feel like it's a waste.
Oh, that would be
So,
bad, but
I think my prediction for the plot of this movie isn't going to be super heavy set on like the Ahsoka timeline. I think this is going to be it's going to have some of it in it. We're going to start to see what Thrawn is doing. I think this is like this is the setup for the next chapter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to have a lot of surface level things like of little things happening here and there with Thrawn looming in the background. Maybe you get him like at the very end of the film, like doing something big that leads into the Ahsoka series. I don't think they're gonna go and retrieve Ahsoka in this movie. And then,
No way.
see,
there's there's so much that they could do, but I
that's
don't
true.
know what.
I just don't want the movie to turn into the Sword Art Online. We're gonna go find Yui a whale kind of a movie. If you remember that trash. Long story short, there's this one anime that we really liked. They came out with a movie when the first season was done, and the whole movie was recapping the entire season with 20 minutes of new content at the end. That's what I'm worried about too when you guys talk about like, what if this is supposed to set up for something else or give information? Because I would rather not be sitting in a movie which is supposed to spoon feed the audience. Here's what you missed in the last seasons of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Book of Boba because
it's
you
Jon
refused to
Favreau and
watch.
Dave. It's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
That is true.
Do you think they're just going to do what they've done with every series and just give you the quick recap right at the beginning for like 5 minutes and you get the whole thing? Like, yeah,
See, a
and
recap
here's
in a
Mando,
movie would
here's
be
Grogu, like,
crazy.
and then the flashbacks, like the little montage.
Yeah.
They did it with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series even. You know, like, here's everything up until this point that's relevant to the characters you're about to watch.
But here's another
I don't
thing.
know.
So Dave Filoni has his own film coming soon, like his
Some
own
point.
project, and it's rumored to be Heir to the Empire.
What if this is just it?
Well, I don't think
this
it
is,
will.
This is mainly Jon Favreau.
Yeah, well, this is So this is his bread and butter. Dave is just doing it as well. If this film has anything to pertain to what Thrawn's doing, does this also mean it's going to connect to what Dave's doing with Heir to the Empire? And then, if so, do you think we could get a return to recasted OT characters in this movie, like where we get Luke, Han, and Leia? We see like where the ball is starting to roll with the New Republic, because if this is the way that they're moving and then they want to have Thrawn, I feel like they have to introduce them into this new chapter of the story. They can't just go Heir to the Empire movie and then just throw them into the mix.
So,
I think you
yeah.
need to ease them into the water before you throw them in the deep end.
So my thing is, I agree with you because one, if I think it would be a lot more jarring if you only had Dave's movie that's coming, Filoni's movie that's coming in the end, and then all of a sudden you just shoehorn a bunch of and Luke, Han, and Leia are here, and here's this, and
That's fair.
and bang,
That's
bang,
what I'm
and there's
saying.
and it's like
You got to ease them into this.
you need to get people engaged, and especially when you're drawing in a broader audience like this with something like Mando and Grogu, who are very popular and by 99% of fandom and beyond are looked at positively. You're going to want to draw people in so that when you drop future films that are along the storyline, because we know that's the plan, at least one film is coming after this, you're going to want to draw people in. So to keep people engaged, and it also makes sense for the continuity because we've already literally seen Luke Skywalker twice since these shows have come out, and
with Mando,
Leia got name dropped, and we literally saw C-3PO in the Ahsoka series. They're there. They're right there.
They're easing us into these characters being back.
Right.
My thing is, though, especially when it comes to Luke Skywalker, because we've seen deepfake Skywalker twice. Are they gonna recast or are they gonna deepfake? And then if so, if they decide to go with recast, how are they gonna do that with Luke going from looking like Mark Hamill for 2 things and then just being different? I don't know if this is. I feel like, especially right now with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau with the reins, their entire thing has been meticulously planning out parts of their saga. So with this movie, there's got to be connections to the end goal of, like, with Ahsoka season 2, Dave Filoni's movie, and where this is all going. At least I hope so. This is what or they at least have a general arc, and then after this movie's done, and then they get, like, the audience reaction, then maybe they'll tweak a couple things with this story, the lead into this story, just so it's fluid and it works. But with the structure that I believe has to go with this, it's such a toss-up. There's so many options that they could go with.
Here's a theory. And, well, so I'm sure you know the guy who is the deep fake, basically like stunt double for Luke Skywalker, looks a lot like Mark Hamill already.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be too jarring just because the deep fake is on his face, you know? I think for him specifically, if they chose him for a recast, I think that would make the most sense because you look at him and he looks enough like Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker that you're going to buy it. Here's a theory though you kind of touched on what could Thrawn do to make him a menacing villain in this film. We see the New Republic is so high and mighty. They think there's no way that the Empire could come back. There's nothing that the Empire could do to overthrow this new government. What if, because we know by the time of the sequel trilogy, there isn't really a fleet for the New Republic. It's been decommissioned, and they don't have many.
Didn't they mention that it was already decommissioned?
No, they have a fleet right now.
Okay.
So what if the way they get there? Different. What if the way they get there by the time of the sequels is Thrawn shows up and just absolutely annihilates the New Republic fleet, leading to, by the time we get to Heir to the Empire, you need to call on everybody, like, oh, we're going to get help from Boba Fett on Tatooine. We're going to get help from the Mandalorians on Mandalore. We're going to get help from Mando and Grogu. We're going to get help from Ahsoka and them. Everybody that we've seen has to come together and fight Thrawn with whatever resources they can muster, because that's how Thrawn shows his strength, because the New Republic isn't expecting any of this. Half of the New Republic politicians don't even believe Thrawn's back. They don't buy it. Yeah. So that's a theory on how you can make Thrawn an actual menace. He just comes in and just wipes the floor with the entirety of the New Republic.
Yeah. Here's a theory. So what I'm thinking about right now is, so with the puzzle pieces of Dave Filoni liking to be like, I like this to connect to this with this little detail here. This also needs to connect not only with the OT, the Mandoverse, and that stuff. It needs to connect to the sequels.
Yes, so
So last we saw of Thrawn, he's going to Dathomir. What if part of the reason he's going to Dathomir is to partially resurrect the Emperor, to take him to Exegol, to where we see him then, and that's what starts the Final Order and that whole fleet of ships? Because I feel like that needs a little bit of explaining. And what if Thrawn was the kickstart to why that's
not
all
a bad
happening?
idea for an explanation.
Because we did see with some of the stuff with Moff Gideon with cloning, force cloning. We saw something that looked like pickled Snokes, but it turned out to just be Moff Gideon clones, which was a little weird. But what if that technology was being used to resurrect the Emperor? Moff Gideon just took a little bit of it for himself because he's selfish and a warlord, and the rest of it is now being funneled through the Dark Council and Captain Pelion to Dathomir. And this is like Thrawn's back, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna I look like I'm back because I want to take over this galaxy. But his real reason for being back is starting the First Order behind the scenes, just using his presence as a facade to do it. in the secret, like in the shadows.
That's not a bad idea.
Well, and on top of that too, you have Commandant Hux, who is in league with Captain Pelion. And kind of I think Jackson said you think Pelion would be maybe a villain for this Mando movie. We talked about last week, I think it was, Dave Filoni did that interview with Empire Magazine, and he said he wants to see Pelion and Thrawn together on screen. So that kind of makes me think that Pelion will last longer. Maybe he'll get defeated in this movie, but I don't think he'll die. I think he's going to be kind of a little bit more of a long-lasting villain going forward.
He's definitely Thrawn's right-hand man when it comes to being strategic, when it comes to being just understanding of how the puzzle pieces fall into place, because he, throughout his time in the Empire, he was Thrawn's right-hand man. So he's been with it. It's like, if you read the Thrawn books, you do know that one of Thrawn's main things in those stories is with all of the people that are under him, he's not like an iron fist, do it my way because I told you to. He lets them put, like Eli Vanto, he trains him, he lets him figure out how to be strategic and let those puzzle pieces fall in naturally for himself, teaches everybody these things so they're also great and strategic leaders. When he can't be there or he needs them on another ship, then they're competent and they'll just trust the plan. They'll go with the flow, like what you see in Rebels with a bunch of snotty generals that just want glory of downing ships. They break formation, they ruin the plan, they let the rebels escape. I feel like having a bunch of characters like this, like Pelion, with Thrawn is going to be really cool to see just because they're going to be on the same tactical level.
Now, also, you kind of brought up this is going to be I like the idea of Thrawn taking over the galaxy as a facade, kind of using the combining of the remnants of Empire to kind of distract the New Republic from what he actually is trying to do. It also adds a lot more purpose if we follow that like train of thought to the zombies, the night troopers. Why? I mean, yeah, that's super cool that there's zombies and they're using the Night Sister magic to make zombies. Where can we also apply that to Palpatine coming back? You can. That's why they're on Dathomir. They're dropping them off there so that Thrawn brought them back to the galaxy. In return, they're going to give Thrawn the ability to bring back the deceased Emperor. You know, not to his full potential, obviously, because he does look like a bit like a zombie when we see him in Episode 9, and that ties in perfectly. Not to mention, Palpatine is wearing red robes in Episode 9. Yeah. I'm just going to say, Night Sisters, and they have the red ribbons on all the Night Troopers. It all connects. You know, that
would make the most sense in my opinion.
I definitely think if you're trying to make a story where everything fits in a nice little, and you're going to tie everything in a bow, and you want this to fit with the sequels, because we've already seen like bits and pieces of trying to make things make sense. I think that's the best storyline, or like the best way to start to usher this idea in of somehow Palpatine returned. Okay, how? How did this happen?
Right. And that's what we've been leading up to. The crazy part, though, is we all thought it was just as simple as, Force-sensitive cloning. And that was it. That's all we thought it was. Now we're a few years down the line from that, and it's becoming so much more complex than just that. And that, to me, is super good for the storytelling.
Because now they have options, because you can go with Force-sensitive cloning, if that's the route that you want to take. And then Thrawn's big thing, and like these movies and these series that are coming out, is he's trying to get Grogu, or he's trying to get Ezra, or he's trying to get Luke so he can extract midichlorians, or maybe you can somehow weasel in a character like Sabaoth, and you can get some of the storylines that happen in Heir of the Empire with Mount Tannis, and you can start to weave those in with more cloning stuff that we might see in Bad Batch Season 2, which is coming out soon. So,
and that's what makes me kind of dive deeper into that Force-sensitive cloning idea. Where does this all tie in? That's Thrawn's biggest weakness, and he knows that, is the Force. Constantly, the Force...
In politics.
That too.
Constantly, the Force thwarts his idea of a perfect plan. It happens with Ezra and Rebels. It happens with... in the Ahsoka series, Ezra ends up getting on the ship because of the Force. What would Thrawn want to do to combat threats like Ezra, Ahsoka, Luke? You bring in Force-sensitive clones that are loyal to the Empire. You bring in someone like Jorah Sabayoth, who would come in and be a threat. You know, because obviously Balin Skull and Shin Hati, that's not them. They have their own destiny, and I think that is going to be what the Ahsoka season 2 focuses on. Is going to be that plot line with those characters in this trapped in this other galaxy, right?
Or if you don't want to commit to force cloning, canonize the Islamari with their ability to isolate themselves from the Force, nullifying the powers of Jedi.
That is true.
And that's granted, George Lucas did say that he was not a fan of the fact that everything in this galaxy is tied and bound together by the Force, except this one thing. He wasn't a fan of that, so that's why it's not like really considered to be canon. It wasn't used in anything else.
Yeah.
But
same with the Yuzon Vong.
it's,
Literally, the Force doesn't affect them.
yeah, so it's like that. These are things that you could maybe bring in to solve other problems. The nice thing about this is, in this point in time where we are, is you have a lot of Legends material to go with. You have a lot of options that you have set yourself up with, and you're keeping your head creative people and your head creative team the same groups of people. That way everything's staying cohesive and consistent, and it's not getting moved around like that we saw with the sequels, where the story's this and then it changes, and then you gotta put the puzzle pieces back together even though half of them are from a different puzzle.
Well, there is one blaring issue with this Mando movie.
What would be the issue, Tom?
And it's going to ruin the whole thing. And it's the inclusion of Kathy Kennedy as a producer of the film. She's listed as a producer, and that's going to single-handedly ruin the entire thing. And that's why I will only watch the 6 movies that George Lucas made.
No, we honestly gotta just delete that because someone's gonna think you're being real.
We are handing out rubber noses and rainbow wigs for all the clowns that want to believe that and watch our show. So just shoot us an email. We'll send you some clown makeup and some oversized shoes for you to wear.
Y'all realize that with producers on films, one of their main things that they do is they just allocate funds and get funding, and they do have creative say, but not as much as you think. Like, it's not like she's pulling all of the strings.
So I wanted to touch on something that Jackson and I talked about last week. We only briefly talked about it, but it was the multiple interviews with Shireen
I knew this
Shinoy.
was going to come back up.
Okay.
This was the topic I wanted to avoid for today, too.
It's not, I'm not like saying anything controversial here. I thought about it more.
Yeah.
And I read more about it, you know? And, you know, we talked about last week that her comments that she made. And if you want to check that out, check out last week's podcast. Yeah. But then I read more. She's just the director for this movie. She did not touch the script at all. So I'm seeing a lot of, like, I saw what's his name, Luke's lightsabers on TikTok. What's his name?
Maybe.
He has like a following. He does the Kylo Ren cosplay. You know
I know exactly who you mean.
The one that's dating.
What's her face?
Yeah,
Kylie,
Kylie
that we saw at OCC. Or
no, not her.
Slayas.
Yeah, there we go.
That dude. He did a TikTok and he talked about it too. But I had already read that it's 3 dudes that wrote the script for this movie. She's just directing it.
Yeah.
So I don't care what your opinions are. What we talked about last week, if you didn't catch it, was she said that she's excited for a female lead in a Star Wars project, and we were just like, it's not really like
There's like her comments of being like, I like to make men uncomfortable.
Well, that was from her at a women's panel talking about her nonfiction documentaries about Pakistani women and women's rights in Pakistan. That's taken out of context, but that's just the neckbeards being neckbeard and neckbearding. But I will say, I did want to make some clarification on that from last week that if you are wary about this movie because of the comments that she's made on various interviews and stuff, she's just the director. And I think that we, like, along what you said, we put, not we, but people put way too much importance on producers and directors, and I don't think they realize.
So the producers allocate the funds. The directors, literally, this is what a director does on set. They drive their performance.
Yes.
You have an assistant director that handles everything else. Like, I want lights here. I want this set piece here. I want extras here. You have an assistant director for that, and you have this giant chain of command. But the director's main concern is talking to the actors and driving a performance. So what could that mean for this director in comments that she's made that may make people a little unsettled about what her performance? She wants to drive Daisy Ridley to be the most strong, the most confident, or the most vulnerable in moments to convey what her character is going to be throughout this thing. She's building, so from what we know, she's building the next Jedi Order. This is what she's starting. So you need somebody to be strong. You need somebody to be like a level-headed leader for that. So if you're having somebody that comes from experience from making films about making women strong, about making women perceived more powerful, that's a good idea if that's the main story of what Rey's gonna be.
Right. So yeah, I did just want to make a clarification there.
She works with the performance, and if other people are writing the script, other than like maybe like a Mad Lib that happens on set where they're like a deviation from like a line, there's not going to be a whole lot of creative change.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. I mean, I know we've said a million times on this show that we really do not care about like actors and stuff, what their political opinions are one way or the other, because you're just do your performance. If you're just doing your job, I don't care. Be your Star Wars character. Like, no one cares what you have to say off screen.
Yeah. Because the last thing, at least I'll say on, well, in my opinion, for what I'll say on this, something that was a little bit frustrating to me is because I have friends who know I do the podcast, and they were sending me a lot of the clips of the interviews of that, and some of the top comments every single time were, F you, thank you for ruining my childhood, or thank you for ruining my favorite story. I'm like, the story exists. They didn't go back to the Clone Wars and make all the clones women and make them gay and make them this, that,
make
and the other
thing.
lame.
Make it gay
they didn't
lame.
do the South Park thing and change everything. They just... the story is there. If you grew up with the Clone Wars like us and you like it, it exists. If you grew up with the OT and you love it, it still exists. Nothing has changed about Star Wars.
And the dumbest thing about all these red-pilled chads on TikTok...
Red-pilled chads.
...is they complain about, oh, I don't like this and this person's political views, but they love the OT. Have you ever looked at Mark Hamill's Twitter? Ever? That man doesn't care...
Yes. That
about
man is the
what
most
you think
outspoken he's Star Wars actor like ever.
He cares about his politics. He likes what he believes, and he tweets about it all the time. But you never hear these people complain about him, ever.
Yeah,
so
I've never seen a Star Wars fan complain about woke Mark Hamill
because they grew up with him.
And on top of that, making a post about Mark Hamill like that isn't going to get the clicks that talking about the new interview and twisting the narrative on the new interview, that's going to get more clicks.
My genuine reaction when my favorite movie from 1970 suddenly has more diverse people because that was not common in the 1970s.
Yeah, it's the whole... everything is just... everybody's twisting the truth to get more views on their lame video.
Well, Jackson and I talked about this last week. It is I feel like the pendulum is starting to swing the other way because Hunter 212 Hunter was sending me several YouTube shorts from this one guy on YouTube who keeps twisting all this information about the Acolyte and saying that like, oh, they're not using blasters in the Acolyte and that's just they don't want to use guns in Star Wars anymore. Or he'd be like, the show is trying to make the Jedi out to be the bad guys. What does Kathleen Kennedy even think she's doing? But if you look, almost all the comments under those posts are not jumping on that same train, the outrage. It's all like, what the hell are you talking about? You're stupid. So I'm interested to see if that starts to become more of a narrative going forward, is people calling out the phony outrage.
I think just because people... I think it's gotten to a point where outrage culture and outrage, kind of this mindset, especially around Star Wars, I think most people have just gotten tired of it. Yeah. And the people that were so mad about it, they're gone. They're not here anymore.
They jumped off ship.
They're here. They're not here anymore. They watch Star Trek on Paramount Plus or something. I don't know. So the people that continue to like it are continuing to watch it. And at this point, if you're continuing to interact with this content and you're continuing to put all your chips in the Disney Plus Star Wars because you like the continuation of this saga, you've come to turn. If there was something that you were upset about in the sequels, you're like me. You've come to terms with certain parts that you didn't like. You just don't care anymore. You focus on what you do like, and you keep going. So I think most people have gotten to the point where they're done just being mad about stuff, and they just. I think especially now that COVID is over and people are filling their life with a lot more important things
other than sitting at the computer
and then arguing about things all day. I think people have mellowed out and they've realized that there's a lot more stuff going on in their life than Star Wars for them to truly, really care about it.
Yeah, because I'm also of the belief as well that at this point, like what Jacob was saying, if you love Star Wars, you're going to keep watching the content. There was a person who I met this weekend who was very briefly trying to talk to me about Star Wars, and they're like, man, Star Wars just hasn't been the same since Disney bought it. And I was like, oh man, did you watch The Mandalorian or even Ahsoka? It was rated the #2 show of last year. Oh no, I didn't watch it. Then how is Star Wars down the drain if all you know is the online complaint about episode 8?
Well, it's the word vomit.
It is the word vomit. It's a parrot syndrome.
There's the people I met that are like, I only watched the original 6 because that's what George Lucas made. And it's like, those people have made up their mind and they just don't care anymore. So I think the only way to get maybe them back is with the Heir to the Empire movie.
Well, that's also like...
That's why I don't care if they make it or
that's
not.
That's also wild to me, because it's mostly people like our 30 and younger that are like super angry and like, I only watched the first 6 movies. That's the only good Star Wars. Do you realize how many people hate the prequel trilogy?
Yes.
Like, if you're gonna say I only watch good Star Wars and then proceed to say I only watch episodes 1 through 6.
Oh, but when they say that, they really mean just episode 3,
right?
Because episode 1 is boring and episode 2 is cringe, but episode 3 is a masterpiece.
Yeah, prequel fans only watching episode 3.
But they grew up with the Clone Wars, so they include that in that bubble, and they only mean the Clone Wars in episode 3. Yes. They don't mean the other 2.
That is an opinion that makes people like I have close friends that gets them so fired up. People will be like, "Oh, I'm a prequel guy. And I'll be like, "You're a Revenge of the Sith guy.
Oh, yeah.
You're not a prequel guy. And that's 90% of people. You're not a prequel guy. See, you just like the third movie because that's what everyone else likes."
Yeah. Shout out to Nick again for my GameStop visit on my vlog. He, not a Star Wars like hardcore fan at all, barely watches Star Wars, barely keeps up with it. Talked to me all about, man, when I was a kid and the Phantom Menace came out, that is my only favorite Star Wars movie is the Phantom Menace because I think it is so interesting. I was like, people out there exist. People out there love each individual
Lance
movie
Peter
for
Luke
what it
loves
is.
the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is awesome.
He said his first action figure was Lani from the Phantom Menace figures.
First live action Star Wars I saw in the theater was the 3D re-release of Phantom Menace.
Same.
So it's like
in 2013, right before Disney bought Star Wars.
That is true. I was fact checking that in my brain.
I enjoy that movie just also because it introduced Darth Maul, like one of my favorite characters. So I feel like every week or at least once a month we somehow circle back to everybody's angry.
And I do think though that the way we talk about it has changed. I think that as we've gotten older and as we've done this show longer and as we've been so in the fandom longer, our attitudes about it have changed. Like Jackson and I were doing the 2023 in review a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about, remember when Bad Batch came out and we would get on our soapbox every week and defend the shit out of Bad Batch because it was just receiving so much. The way I am right now, I feel like we spend a lot more time just making fun of people that are outraging rather than trying to like angrily defend the thing that we like. I think that it's helped me personally a lot too, just to make fun of it and laugh at it because it really isn't that real.
We especially did that with Kenobi.
We
because then we came back
live
because now we've come back. We've come back about Kenobi and now we're kind of like, it's good.
It's like middle of the road for me.
I agree.
It's C tier Star Wars. It's average. It's like not fantastic. It had potential, but it's whatever. We did an episode about it a while ago. You can go watch it.
Yeah.
We did like a revisit. But It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm done, especially now because I'm starting to watch a lot more older things. I'm watching things that are winning awards. I'm kind of understanding now, like, what makes things better than others. Because my entire life, I've been in this bubble of I watch Star Wars, I watch Lucasfilm projects, and I mostly watch that, and I mostly watch Marvel, and I don't really watch anything else. So now that I'm really starting to expand my horizons to all these different types of movies, now I'm getting to the point where it's like, if I see something bad in Star Wars, I don't think I'm going to defend it like tooth and limb like I was doing. But still, because it's my favorite thing, I'm not going to hate it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like sorry to derail the whole I I just want to make a little silly, goofy, odd joke about, the Kathleen Kennedy outrage, but
That's it's every video right now is that interview.
Yeah.
Nobody will. Oh, I bet now the big topic will be what we covered today, and I'm glad because I would rather see people talk about the next Star Wars movie is going to be something different rather than keep talking about this issue because I'm frankly sick of it.
If you just look at the conversation we just had about the movie, I mean, that was like us for 30 minutes just going on and on, just theorizing about what the movie could be about, let alone the significance of the impact or, what characters could be included. I think that, again, our attitudes have changed, and I hope that is reflected on our audience as well, that it's not even worth arguing with people because you're not changing anyone's mind. You're not going to make someone just see the light and be like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to hate everything.
Yeah.
Oh, because no, they just want to hate everything. So for me, it's like, yeah, I'll make fun of you because that's fun for me to do, is poke fun. I'm definitely not going to get mad. Like I used to get I almost said that word. But
you may say a swear word once.
So
we're like a Marvel movie. You get one.
But here's my last thing on the Mando movie because I was kind of writing notes as you guys were talking.
Yeah, I saw.
My big thing, I think, for one, I think Hera is going to take a step in with Carson Teva and be kind of in league. I think that Hera's going to step away from the Ahsoka series. And I think that we're going to see her a lot more in this Mando movie. She's going to take a much more of a leadership role in this New Republic fight.
She's going to take the Cara Dune role.
I mean,
you know what? That is a good point.
She's, supporting character that's, sees through the facade of the New Republic's, oh, everything's all right, because that was Cara Dune's character was someone who was very skeptical of the New Republic, someone who was very cautious of the return of the Empire because they fought so hard to free the galaxy from the grip of the Empire and have seen horrible things. Hera fits that same kind of type of character. So I think that she'd be a good supporting role for that. So I think Hera and Carson Teva will kind of break off maybe from the New Republic and kind of do stuff like we see in the Marvel movies where they go against what S.H.I.E.L.D. says to do in the earlier films and they just kind of do their own missions because they think that that's the morally right thing to do. I also think that that's where we'll see other characters like in smaller portions like Zeb or other characters we saw along the way like Greef Karga. Characters that are important to Mando's story or that we've seen in Mando's story, and we're going to kind of see this crew start to mold itself together, and then Ahsoka and Sabine will find their way back in the Ahsoka season 2. But yeah, that's my kind of final. I think it's going to be the beginning of a culmination.
Yeah, this is going to be like the Dune of the Star Wars movies, where it's going to be a lot.
Star Wars is better than Dune.
Oh yeah, well, if you saw Dune 1, it's a whole lot of setup. So I feel like that's what this movie's going to be. My closing remarks. Did anybody else see Pedro Pascal feeling up William Dafoe's wife?
No.
Why was he there? Why was he at that Hollywood star? Because I was showing Jen that TikTok last night, and I was like, oh, Willem Dafoe got a Hollywood star.
And then Pedro's just like this to his wife,
dude.
And then William's like,
well, and then she goes, why is Pedro Pascal there? And I was like, why is Pedro Pascal there?
Did they do a film recently together?
I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, that threw me off.
We're littering in Hollywood, but it's okay.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, that's just
friends.
Well, because I've seen stuff about them being like buddies.
Okay, that must have been it then. If he spoke at his at
They
his
did a movie
thing.
together.
They were in Platoon?
They were in The Great Wall together. So they were in a film together in 2016, and they must have just kept a relationship.
Well, that one article just said that they were in Platoon.
Was The Great Wall that really bad action film about the Great Wall of China? Do you remember that movie?
Oh my gosh, I think
Is that what that
wasn't
movie
there like
is?
zombies or something too?
It was like these beasts they were fighting, and it was like every 1,000 years, the depths of hell open at the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Is that what it is?
But yep.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
awful movie. That movie sucks. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I've never even heard of
If
this
you wanna
movie.
I
watch
remember
this-
the trailer from this.
It was
came
like
out.
all over trailers on TV in high school.
Yeah,
And I remember people were like, this is going to be the next big blockbuster. And I remember watching it on like Netflix, I think it was.
that
and
one
it
dude's
was-
last name is literally Chinese. Hold
And
on,
it-
wait. Han Yu means China. That's like the way to say written Chinese language.
Yeah, dude. And the movie's like about like a bunch of Chinese people. And then there's just this couple random white dudes.
I was gonna
And
say,
they're
why
like-
the hell is
and we're-
Willem Dafoe in
Matt
it?
Damon, William Dafoe, and Pedro.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like, and every 1,000 years, the beasts of hell come to break through the wall of China, and we have to defend it.
That's
And
really
the whole
And it's
movie.
William Dafoe is the cool. Well,
But
this has
yeah.
been an episode.
This has been an episode where you learned that if you want to watch an awful ass movie that just has a lot of action, watch The Great Wall because it is hilariously bad.
If you want to watch an awful ass movie, watch Avatar: The Way of Water. That movie's terrible.
But now we got that new Avatar series coming out on Netflix soon. Hopefully it's good. Please, begging.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the podcast. Please, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking about your predictions for the new Mando movie, what you think is going to happen, where you think the overarching story is going to lead. What are some little tidbit theories that you really want to come true? Let us know in the comments below, or hit us up in the Discord. Drop your favorite theories there. Let us know what you're thinking, and let us know what other Star Wars projects you are most excited for. Also, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Twitch are all linked down below if you want to hit up any of those, as well as the Patreon. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, guys.
Bye.
Peace up, A-Town.
Hey, this is Vanessa Marshall. I play Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to the 1313 podcast.
Dun 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 hum da da hum da da hum dum dum da hum da da hum da da dum dum da dum da ba dum 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 dum hum da dum hum da da hum dum 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 da dum hum da da hum dum 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 da da dum da dum dum hum da dum da dum da dum dum